The president of South Korea declared martial law. Next thing you know, he's gone. Explain what happened and explain why Americans should care.
South Korea is a huge ally of United States, so that, for one, Americans should care about it. President Yoon has declared martial law on December 3rd.
Why?
So first, we didn't know. How I got to know that news was through American mainstream media. I found out that President Yoon wants to uncover voter fraud in South Korea. And this is completely being ignored by the mainstream media in South Korea.
So he declared martial law because he was investigating voter fraud?
He wanted to. So the martial law soldiers marched in to the National Election Committee. They have not been audited.
Was there an election going on at the time?
No, he wanted to uncover election fraud that happened 2 years ago during the midterm election. Even his own election, he thought that he should have won in a bigger margin, like double digits, but he barely won. He 0.7 percentage point margin. A lot of political commentators have been talking about voter fraud that has been happening in South Korea. And actually, in all honesty, a lot of my friends who came from South Korea, who lean conservative, they have always talked about voter fraud issues that has been going on in South Korea. So I just felt this huge gap between what people are saying and also what the media is saying, because the media has never mentioned it. So the media consider this like a conspiracy theory, like the same way how President Trump talked about the election being rigged here in the States, and the mainstream media considered that Trump wrongly claims that the election process was rigged. This exact thing is going on in South Korea. So actually there is a tremendous amount of support for President Yoon too, and that is also being completely ignored by the American media and also in the South Korean
Michael,
mainstream media.
Is the hand of the CCP involved at all in this voter fraud?
So a lot of conservative people have been suspicious that CCP is deeply involved in South Korean election. I can't tell you the exact minutia detail of it, but a lot of conservative media members have been telling me that Chinese government has been deeply involved, not just recently, but for the past 10 year plus. There's going to be a constitutional cake course that's going to happen pretty soon. And I think President Yoon is probably going to talk about it. He actually mentioned it during his public speech recently that China has been involved, and even North Korea has been involved in hacking in South Korea. We'll get to see what President Yoon is going to unravel.
So is he still president?
Right now, he relinquished his power. So
if he doesn't get power back, what are the consequences for South Korea? What's the consequences for North Korea? What's the consequences for us?
So the impeachment case will now be reviewed by the Constitutional Court, which has up to 180 days to decide if Yoon violated the Constitution or laws to a degree warranting removal. And it actually happened once. Park Geun-hye, the first female president of South Korea, has been impeached. The Constitutional Court upheld it back in late 2016. And if this happens within the Conservative Party again, I think the Conservative Party will be probably finished in South Korea. And you have to know, Larry, the Conservative Party are more pro-America. The Liberal Party is very pro-CCP.
Michael,
so the consequences, you already know it.
Now that President Trump is going to be next president, what impact North Korea, what impact South Korea?
So President Trump, he always talked about peace through strength. And I think North Korea responded that way. We didn't see ICBM flying all over the place. It didn't happen anymore. So I think North Korea would probably behave. I think South Korea would. It depends on what happened with President Yoon.
We'll leave it there. Michael Wan, thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.